Drew, man?
Yeah, someone's coming. Russ.
You're on.
Okay.
They're both coming.
Well,
Russ,
Russ?
guys are just in time. You almost missed
Hey,
the
fine.
party.
Where have you been, Paul? We've been waiting for you.
Yeah.
We were gonna go with three of a kind, but Full House beats it every time. Mr. Jennings,
ran in, but I wouldn't have been if I didn't hold the door.
Jumped right in. You already have,
jump right in.
already
All
have the
set to go.
formal
All
out
set
of the
to
way.
go.
Perfect.
All right, Joe.
We're good.
I'd like to call to order the Water and Sewer Commission meeting of October 7th, 2019. It's now 6:33. And first order on the agenda is public forum. Seeing or hearing from anyone, going to move on to warrants, if you'd be so kind, Mr. Jennings.
First, I'll make a motion we accept the minutes of September 23rd, 2019 as printed.
Okay, sorry, skipped right over that.
I have a correction.
Is that a second?
No?
Correction.
Okay.
So under present, I should be listed. And then, David, I don't think you were here last time.
I can't, it's really difficult to be present and absent.
Right, so,
Oh, jeez, okay, thank you.
No, there are some people who are,
True.
yeah. None of us here, but anyways.
In other circumstances.
Yeah, is that the only one, John?
that's it.
Okay. Any other, do we have a second on accepting the minutes of,
Second with the changes noted.
yeah, yeah,
You seconded it, Jen?
Yes.
yeah. It'd be the minutes of September 29th, 23rd, 2019. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous? Okay.
Next, I'll make a motion we accept the warrants as printed as follows. Commissioner salary, $400. Toshiba, $60.69. LaForte Electric, $595. Bartlett and Breon LLC, $4,200. DNC Construction, $23,900. Viola,
Excuse me, Russ.
$1,697.85.
Russ, would you mind stating the description of these items? Because some are unusual.
Sure.
Go back to Bartlett and Burberry,
It's the, I don't even know how to pronounce that,
Peristaltic pump.
Peristaltic.
peristaltic pump that was approved on 8/5/2019 by us. DNC Construction, RBC cover install, $23,900. Viola VFD for EQ Tank 1, that was approved on 6/3/2019, $1,697.85. Viola Comag SS parts approved, 4/22/19, $8,470.39. Viola Lightning Strike EQ Tank, $2,690. Mark D. Abrams Water Rate Project, $2,000. Town of Charlton Police Department Detail for Manhole Repair, $400. JSL Asphalt Driveway Repair, $607.69. JSL Asphalt Driveway Repair, again, $133.33. Kamasi Masonry Masonic Manhole Repair, $27.22. Kamasi Masonry Masonic Manhole Repair, $155.32. Viola, September 2019 monthly services, $38,486.07. WB Mason Office Supplies, $6.57. DC Engineering and Survey, A&R Plan, Gale Road, $11,400. Pete Boyer, Registered A&R Plan, Gale Road, $75. New England Waterworks Association, training, $60. Total of $95,365.13.
Okay, do I have a second?
second,
Thanks, Jen. Discussion.
Yeah, on DNC construction, that 23,900, was that labor only?
Yes. That was labor and also installing the vents and the electric motors, the electric fans to get the air to flow in through the covers, through
Is
the
that
covers.
consistent with what we paid before for the previous ones?
Well, they didn't do the ductwork last time, they only installed the covers.
Right.
But this time, they said they wouldn't come out just to install 2 covers, they wanted to do that plus the ductwork. And Zach couldn't find anyone else who would come in and install the covers
This is the
for us.
same company that did the first ones?
Correct.
Oh, okay.
But last time you had, I think, RPM come in and install the
Right, yeah, I
ductwork
remember that
after.
was separate.
But DNC said they wouldn't do it unless we gave them the ductwork also. So,
Getting tough when your vendor's gonna tell you what they're gonna do for you as you're paying
they
them.
were the only option we had as
Mhm.
far as,
Yeah,
as far as ease of install and being able to do it with the RBCs operational and not having to shut them down or drain them and lose all the media that had been
Yep.
finally grown, so. Yeah, it's definitely a different skill set, and again, Zach called around trying to find other people that were interested and couldn't find anyone.
And Mark Abrams, $2,000, do we have any results from him yet? Are they later in the meeting, or?
Mark met with the town of Southbridge maybe last week or a week and a half ago to talk about the water rates, and it's moving a little bit slower than I'd like, but with everything that's happened with all the water line projects, I think maybe moving a little bit slower might be beneficial for us to really get some of that stuff done and operational before we take it over. So he met with the town of Southbridge, and they are in agreement with some of his findings. We just need to put together a little bit more information so we can finally get a presentation ready to give to you guys for consideration.
Anything else, Paul?
I guess I'm all set.
Peter, on the lightning strike.
Yes.
Insurance.
Yes, there was a $5,000 deductible.
Okay.
So we're able to use some of the insurance money to pay for the repairs, and we had to fund some of it ourselves because of that.
Okay.
You send that bill to heaven?
Which would be-
Okay, and moving down to the survey plan,
Yes,
do you have that electronically yet?
yes, a copy of the plan. That
If
was-
you get a chance, pass that around, okay?
Sure.
All right. Any other questions on the warrants? All right, hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
aye.
Aye, unanimous. Thank you, Russ. Okay, scheduled appointments. None.
That A&R plan is the same thing you approved at your past meetings, but I'll forward a copy of that.
Good. All right, let's move right into new business.
So this past summer, we noticed excessive propane usage after we were done with the heating season. Osterman sent a technician out to refill the tanks. They were pretty much down to zero. I think it was towards the end of June. And after he filled them, he went around and sprayed all of the exposed joints. They're threaded joints above the ground. It's all galvanized steel or steel underground. He sprayed all of them, and most of them had small leaks at those fittings. So he was supposed to come back. What he did was he shut off the 2 main supply tanks at that time, and he gave us a 150-gallon temporary tank so we can continue to have hot water in the treatment plant for the bathroom, because that's all we needed it for during the summer. And he was supposed to come back and pressure test everything, identify the leaks, and get us a cost to do the repairs. Unfortunately, Osterman got busy. They said they lost a tech, and now our most recent discussions, they said they don't have time to send anybody out there. So Zach was able to make some phone calls. I made some phone calls trying to find somebody else to come in and pressure test the system, identify what's going on, and come up with a solution for the repairs. And the only person that we could get to show up and offer us to do the work is Keith Lepan from Lepan Mechanical. You see he's attached a estimate. He's figuring right around 3 days' worth of work because of all the underground propane line that's there, plus all the exposed line inside the building also needs to be pressure tested to satisfy the plumbing inspector. So just labor and materials for him to pressure test the entire system is gonna be $4,000. We discussed doing it as a phased approach where, because we don't know what the repairs might cost, phased approach, phase one will be him coming in, or a tech coming in, pressure testing the entire system, identifying where the leaks are, and then putting a proposal together for what we're gonna need to do for repairs to fix those leaks, and probably go out to bid for that. So,
How far of a run is it, Peter, from the tank to?
it's pretty far. It
It's
runs
pretty far.
all the way around the building, it tees off to a couple different joints,
Okay.
and it also goes down to the headworks building, so it's, there's quite a bit there. There's there's 3 large outside units it goes to, and it also comes up in 2 different places and goes inside the building, because the original building is about 1/3 of it, and then 2/3 of it was added on, that's completely different, that's fed by its own underground system, so it's, and wherever he sprayed those fittings coming up out of the ground, they're threaded, they're painted, they look good, but he sprays them and they were weeping pretty constantly, so. He thinks that everything underground is galvanized welded, but everything above ground he thinks is threaded. So. Anybody knows anybody else I can call to get a different price, I'd be more than happy to do that, but this is, I made a few different calls. One person called, said they replied, said they couldn't do it. One person was non-response. And Mr. LePan came out, looked at it, walked around the building, saw what we had to do, and this is what he came back with as for his proposal.
When's the last time they were pressure tested?
They were installed, I would guess.
It's been years.
It's been, I don't believe there'd be any reason to pressure test them on a routine basis, so.
Unless you're outside walking around the building and smell gas,
Smell.
then you gotta do it.
Right. So,
You know, I haven't inspected it, not that I'm an inspector, but I would think that if, as it was discussed just moments ago, if most of the joints are leaking, then why are we even doing leak tests? Why are we just replacing it?
Because I think you have to identify where it's leaking, and it still might be leaking underground, so.
Well, my point is, if we got 5 pipes on the ground, and what you're saying is that the basic system was put in almost 20 years ago, and then there was a addition put on to where additional lines were added. But the stuff that's 20 years old, if we're having problems with it now, why even spend $4,000 to test it? You need to pull it out and change it. I think it's that simple. And,
Well, I mean, there's one way to find out if you still think it's simple, and that's get a price on doing it.
and changing it?
Yeah.
We have to change it anyways, because we're already told
Well,
that what we know is it's leaking.
We may not have to change it all. Saying if somebody comes in and gives you, you get a price of $200,000, you're gonna be like, let's start by fixing it, we know it's leaking.
If the material is leaking that's coming out of the ground, and if this is the same material that's out of the ground, that's in the ground, more than likely, it is either leaking or about ready to leak. That's my point. And the thing is nowadays,
right.
nowadays they put all plastic lines in.
Yeah, so I was gonna say, they might be able to just feed plastic lines right through the lines
Yeah,
that are there now.
yeah.
Even for commercial? They run plastic?
Plastic and also, yes.
I don't know what they'd run on those exposed areas.
Again, I just had one done last year, and ran a plastic line. In fact, we came up, and
Side of the building, or?
it's on the back of the building, and then when it comes out of the ground, it changes to black iron. From black iron, it goes to the regulator, then from the regulator, thing was in the building, or with this other one, they're still doing the pressure test on it. They left everything there. It's been there for months. And, I mean, the pressure test is no big deal. 20 pounds, I think, or 30, whatever they bring it up to, it's got to hold it for a minimum of 24 hours.
Well, if we're
4
heading in that
grand?
direction anyways, why don't we get a price on replacing it all? And see where that comes in.
I would think that we either need, okay.
I think it's important to find the last exposed thread, cap it there, pressure test what's underground, see what's there. If that's fine, then you save all that digging and all of that excavation.
This week.
What's in the ground, but it's not exposed to air either, so it might not be exposed to the same
No,
elements.
I would
So
think
that
that.
it might be, and it's not threaded, so if it is welded, then that might have a better lifespan than threaded and sealed, exposed to the air.
I don't know enough about it to say what's gonna be.
How about local guys like Charlton Oil and Gas or Tassie's?
Well, again, Osterman's local, they said no. Keith LePan came out, I called another local plumber, he said, I called 2 local plumbers, and they said no. I did not call Charlton Oil because we own the tanks and we get supplied by Osterman. So it's kind
I was led to believe that the rest of the town is using Charlton Oil now, not Osterman. I don't
They
know
are.
if That's what I've heard, I don't know if it's true, but,
of, they are.
okay, so it's not a foreign company we're calling then?
No, but we're still not gonna use them for propane supply because of
We'll get a better price from Osterman.
last year, we did quite a bit better again, staying with the state bid price.
And we use a lot of gas.
We use a lot of propane, yes.
There's a lady over there, Mrs. Damsky, she's the manager, very efficient. I'm surprised we're getting this information, no, we can't come and do that. I know again, all gas companies are trying to separate themselves from any of this liability stuff. They love it when people buy their own tanks and run their own lines, but I'll call you tomorrow. We'll give Mr. Damsky a call. Let's get to the bottom of this.
Okay.
That's
At
again-
At Osterman?
Yeah. Yeah. Again, if the commission wants to do something else,
I mean, yeah, I'm not,
but we've got it nailed down pretty soon, because another 6 weeks, we might not be able to dig.
Correct, definitely.
Then we need the blankets.
and I would assume that was part of the gig when you buy your propane through a company like Osterman. They also have technicians that come out and fix your stuff.
Correct, but this is a little bit different than fixing your stuff. This is, I mean, to excavate everything and do all that work, I think that's a fairly good-sized job. One of the lines crosses under the driveway to get to the Headworks building that has a heating unit, and the rest of it goes around the back of the building.
If they had,
Yeah, but-
maybe if they had installed all the piping.
Yeah. I mean, I just think that Osterman should come and check it, especially if we buy all our propane from them.
The Headworks building, is there any reason why we can't just have a concrete pad poured as big as that table and put 2 tanks there? And then,
For just that one building?
yeah, because I don't think it uses a lot of propane, not like the big building.
It's a possibility.
And so, I mean, that's,
Other than, we'd have to see how it fits with what's going on.
yeah, I mean, they don't
We'd
take
probably
up
put
much
a couple of
space.
150-gallon, the round ones.
Yeah, the snowmen, I guess they call them snowmen or whatever. Yeah,
Could probably find a spot to do a couple of those, just for that one unit,
right. So that,
to save that run.
right, right. I personally, and I don't know the scope of work, but $4,000 to do a pressure test is a lot of money.
But
I know
it's-
this work
it's-
there.
It's time, he figured 3 days' time, it's prevailing wage, it is what it is. There's no way around it, unfortunately. Because you're talking, again, disconnecting, I believe that's pressure testing everything in the building as well, because now that we've identified there's leaks, the plumbing inspector won't let anything get reconnected until everything is pressure tested inside and out.
Yeah, that's, again, any gas fitter, that's part of their job. So they do all the time. Yeah, got to have a minimum of 24 hours.
So that's fine, we can, if you want to give me a call tomorrow, we can reach out to Osterman and see what's going
Yeah,
on.
yeah.
Who's your contact there?
Ms. Adamski,
And your first name?
Marlene.
I deal with Nancy.
Okay, yep. Nancy's very nice. Adamski, Corn in Auburn, same family.
deal with Marlene all the time, very nice.
Very nice, well, you do. You know exactly what I'm talking about. She's very accommodating.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so we're passing on that for the time being.
We can hold it for now, yes. Like, we'll get more information for the next meeting.
But we got to get it done.
Maybe I'll see if Keith has time to stop by the plant tomorrow, we can meet him there, and you can describe what he was thinking, walk around, show you what's there.
Keith.
Left-hand, who we got the proposal from to do the work.
Well, again, I don't want to waste somebody's time. So Pete, we're going to move down to the EP sewer treatment plant site visit report.
Sure. So as Zach mentioned in his last MOR, the DEP did a site visit. 2 people stopped by from DEP to do a site visit of the treatment plant. We finally have a letter reporting on that site visit. In that letter, you'll see from Mr. David Boyer from Mass DEP, he recommends the town take corrective action to address the following 3 items. The first is inadequate secondary containment provided for the sodium hydroxide storage. Second is lack of secondary containment for the ferric chloride storage tank outside of the building. And the third is the chemical and storage handling areas do not include an emergency shower. So the first item has been pretty much resolved by Zach. He got on this right away when he got the letter. He moved all of the sodium hydroxide storage that they're mentioning, he moved it out of that area. And if you remember correctly, he kind of showed you pictures of this a few months ago where it's up near the RBCs and there's a couple of 55-gallon drums on the containment with like a shower curtain around it, and it had all of the pumps coming out of it to go to the COMAG. He's since moved those drums from there and put them down in the chemical room so they don't have to take those 55-gallon drums with the fork truck up and around the back of the building to get them up to that higher level. So that much is pretty much, that part is fixed, except for now we have to make sure we have enough secondary containment for where we put them in the chemical room down at the base of the building. The second one is...
Excuse me, Pete, the definition of secondary containment, that's like making sure there's some type of coffer that if it spills, it holds it?
125% of the volume of the
Okay,
tank has to be able to be contained.
all right. And we have that ability to do that?
Whereas we're moving this to, Zach is working on creating the best solution for that.
Okay. Are there portable units that can be purchased? When I say portable, I'm talking about whether it be plastic or metal. and
Sure, so right
certain
now,
size.
he moved, it's one of those plastic totes.
Yep.
Probably a 250-gallon plastic tote with the metal rig around it that he's pumping out of for now. They're pumping the 55-gallon drums into, and then the pumps are pumping out of that. So they're thinking, Zach is thinking about either getting one of those big plastic containment systems to put this tank up on, or to build like a plastic dam all the way around
Sure.
it. To build our own containment system around it like we did for the ferric chloride inside the building.
Okay.
So he's working on that now. Item 2, the lack of secondary containment for the ferric chloride storage tanks outside. Those are currently double wall tanks. So Zach is looking for the manufacturer and spec sheet to see if the double wall tank is in fact 125% of the design capacity of the internal tank for containment. So he's looking through the manuals, trying to find that information now. And once we get that information, we'll present that to DEP.
And Pete, how big is that tank?
Those tanks are large, maybe 1,000 gallons, because those are the tanks that we get delivered by tanker trucks. They fill on the outside and it gets
Right.
plumbed into the inside, I believe.
Okay,
So those are the two large tanks that are outside down the very end of the southern end of the building. And the third is the chemical storage handling areas do not include an emergency shower. That has been remedied, and Zach has fixed all the showers that were not there for whatever reason, so.
so number two is really the.
Number one's pretty big to make sure that, again, I think Zach was making sure Zach wanted to make sure this, the way he moved the sodium
Yeah.
hydroxide pump system would work. Now he's comfortable with how it works. We're gonna work on figuring out the containment system in that area.
Okay,
And then item two is, again, once we get that information, we'll know if we have to do anything more or not when he finds the specs for those tanks. So again, Mr. Boyer's letter is dated September 23rd, and he requests a letter from us addressing these deficiencies within 30 days of his letter. So I'm going to work with Zach over the next couple of weeks. Luckily, we have a meeting with you on the 21st. Zach will be here to provide his MOR. We'll talk about what's been done to address the first two solutions, and we'll be able to prepare a letter and get that back to Mr. Boyer before his 30-day deadline. So that's our plan of attack on that.
all sounds good.
Okay.
What I do, just a comment here is, our plant is really under the EPA as far as our operation goes.
Your NIPD's permit is through the EPA, but enforcement comes from DEP,
Okay.
I believe.
All right, so we had these two individuals from the Worcester office come out, and this is what they found as far as deficiencies?
Correct.
for
Just
entire
just
plant?
these three things,
Yeah, that's
yes.
pretty good, huh?
Yes.
Oh, shining,
Yeah.
shining. Yeah,
Definitely.
Yeah.
So luckily Zach's been working hard, doing a lot of cleaning up around.
All right, we won't talk to Zach next meeting, but good job.
Yes,
Good
definitely.
job.
No, Zach's been doing really well there. So again, we'll have more at your next meeting for final outcomes for that, and probably a proposed letter to send to DEP. And again, I don't think we have to have all the solutions, we just have to present a plan of attack for Mr. Boyer to show him what we have, what the deficiencies were, and how we're gonna move forward to correct them, or what we've done so far, the steps taken, and the final steps to finish what we had going on.
So this DEP 7-page letter in here, this is the results?
Sure, so you have,
From the
you
inspection.
have the two-page letter from Mr. Boyer
Yeah.
that pretty much summarizes the report he received from Zainong Chen, who came out and did the field inspection. So her, what's that, five pages summarizes her, I think she was probably there for 5 hours, walking around with Zach. So it's not like they just walked around quick, looked around and said, okay, this is all you
Yeah,
have.
right.
They were there, they definitely toured the whole plant. So to come out with only those three things, and
Yeah, it's kudos to you guys. That's
one
really
being
good.
pretty simple with just emergency showers where some of the heads were missing or whatnot, and Zach fixed already, I think we're looking pretty good.
How often do they do these
I
inspections?
don't know if it's annually or every 2 or 3 years.
Was this a surprise inspection? Did you know they were coming?
I think they called Zach the day
Probably the night
before.
before, right?
Yeah.
But he had the emergency he was out on?
Yeah,
Well,
but-
No,
did you
that's
recall
when the
the
RC covers were
DEP
being
inspections?
Oh,
So
okay.
he
No,
He
didn't-
didn't get the message, yeah.
The two old guys, we don't ever recall DEP.
Coming to the plant in the last 8, 10 years?
Right.
No.
You don't mind if I call you the? Include you in the old
Two
guys.
senior members.
Senior members, yeah. But anyways, well, again, that's great.
Institutional memory.
Okay, DEP meeting, Gould Cemetery Road Water Commission.
Yes. So last week, on October 3rd, Mr. Lemansky, Chris McClure, Gary Magnuson, and myself met with representatives from Mass DEP and ExxonMobil to discuss the groundwater contamination on Gould and Cemetery Road. Our main concern from the meeting was to make sure that DEP was not in the process of closing out the release tracking number for the 6 West service area. This RTN is what is required at ExxonMobil to perform the water sampling and provide bottled water and POET systems in that area for the contaminated residents. In our discussion with DEP, they confirmed that they are not going to close the RTN at this time, and ExxonMobil will continue to provide that same level of sampling and providing bottled water and maintaining the POET systems at this time. We also mentioned about our concern that those residents living on bottled water and a POET system for the next 15, 20, 30 years is not ideal and not really acceptable to the town, and told them that could possibly try and solve the problem by extending the water line at this time. So, we mentioned that, and they kind of ExxonMobil threw it back at us to do the initial due diligence to find out if the water line is feasible, to meet with Southbridge, see if they'll agree to it, and try and come up to see if the residents would actually connect if the water line was installed. So, Chris McClure and myself actually sat down with Southbridge last Friday. We were in the different meeting for Berry Corner Road, and Heather had time, so we met with Heather Blakely and Steve Gregoire about extending this water line from Stafford Street down Cemetery Road to the Gould Road area. And they said, depending on the size and depending on how many people connect, it's definitely feasible, and it wasn't a hard no. So I met with Jim Philbrook today and tried to identify how many homes are in that area, and to talk to Jim about putting together a list of the homes in that area. And Jim mentioned initially starting by sending out a letter from him or from us that the Board of Health approves, that you guys approve, letting those residents know that the water line's being considered, and trying to get them to commit to connect to the water line so that we'll know there's enough usage, so that there won't be any water quality issues.
How many houses are there?
14. And it's just about a mile of water line.
Friday,
that's down there.
Cemetery Road, you tee off left on Gould Road, and then you tee right if you wanted to go to the church. It's just about a mile. That's all homes, you mean? Yeah.
Seems a lot more than that.
That's including Fay Mountain Farm, that's including one of the homes right up near Stafford Street.
Well, the church might be a big user down here right now.
It's very sporadic, not on the daily, no, because they're a public water supply, so we have the data for what they use for water, and it's not that much, unfortunately. So the only good thing is we talked about maybe extending a 4-inch line, which is not really industry standard. When you talk about extending the water line, you want at least a 6, maybe at least an 8 to provide fire suppression, but where this has an identified problem and the solution is water, we actually talked about maybe only doing a 2-inch water line.
Yep.
And Southbridge didn't really have any concern of that, other than making sure there's enough pressure and flow for that long of a run. So we talked about, so we'll have to do some type of design analysis based on what we get for replies for how many people want to connect. But first look at it, the elevation is fine, there should be more than enough pressure to get water there. It's just for that long of a run, can we do a straight 2-inch and provide water for at least those 14 homes and possibly more? Or do we want to do 4 for, say, Cemetery Road and then branch off with a 2-inch going down Gould Road each way? So I think those decisions will be made or considered as we get more information back from the residents in that area, if they're willing to connect or not. Most of the contaminated homes are on Gould Road. So most of the ones on Cemetery Road are they still have good water right now, but that doesn't mean that won't change. So hopefully they'll be willing to connect, and we can get this designed and get ExxonMobil to agree to install it, and get those residents some clean water so they're not dealing with bottled water or a POET system anymore.
Yep.
and the upside for Exxon would be they would be able to close out this spill to where, put it in the file cabinet and forget about it, rather than continuing to have to spend money and always be thinking about it. So, it's a win-win for both sides if we can pull it off. And I'm happy to hear that between Mr. Gregoire and Ms. Blakely that they were receptive to whatever size works, whether it's a 2 or 4, 6. Yeah, because the problem with putting a big line down there is you got long, 5,000 feet of pipe and not much usage. You're going to end up with stale water and then blow-offs and cost, and so you want to stay away from that. But if you can somehow get potable water down there, it'd be great.
I'm sure the 4-inch would be ductile iron. But would the 2-inch be copper or ductile iron? Is there such a thing as 2-inch ductile iron? I've never,
It would be copper.
okay. So we're gonna have seams and joints every so many feet?
With ductile iron, you have seams in every 20
Yeah.
feet.
But up in St. Mary's Way, I think originally it was gonna be copper, and they decided that that was not a good idea.
Yeah.
And so they got away from the copper. Now I'm hearing, 2-inch coming up again. To me, just seems like 4-inch. Again, not knowing the volume.
So I believe
Be more
4-inch,
practical.
4-inch volume, quick numbers is about 3,500 gallons of water stored in that pipe. And say if all 14 homes connected at, say, 150 gallons per day, that'd be about 2,000 gallons a day of usage. So you're a day and a half or 2 days
That's
to get that
pretty
pipe.
good turnover, yeah.
That's if all those homes connect.
And Peter, you will remember this, when you mentioned St. Mary's Way. The original approval was for 2-inch plastic.
That was before me.
You sure?
I'm positive.
I think that may be-
Yeah,
you're
that project was
What
in the
was-
ground when
What
I
was the
came
guy's
up.
name? It began with E. Fellow from Exxon you worked with at the time. Eric?
Eric?
Yeah. The name of that report is the RISA report, not the ZECA report. I did find it in my files.
found it?
Yeah, northeast. Yeah, and it did say other directions, but northeast. But I will get that to you, as well as to Mike, is that his name, Mike?
Tom.
Tom, yeah, definitely get it to Tom. Okay. School loop.
All right. Waterline construction update, Berry Corner Road. Berry Corner Road and H-Foot Road have been reclaimed and the base layer of pavement has been installed. If any of you have been up there, you'll see in certain areas the base layer has some potholes forming already. So representatives from Ty and Bond, Charlton, Southbridge, and Palmer Paving were out on Friday. The representative from Palmer Paving we walked probably a couple miles of the road to look at it, kick it around, see how the aggregate looks. And they agreed to come out possibly today or tomorrow and start doing some core samples. They've identified probably, say 3,500 to 4,000 feet of roadway, only one lane that may need to be taken up and re-put down. So they're gonna do some core samples, analyze the asphalt content, the depth of the base, and kind of see what was going on there, compare that to the results they have from where the asphalt was batched for that day, and come up with a solution. It seems like everyone's in agreement that something does need to be done, and I'll let you know what that solution is. I believe they were proposing initially to do the final top coat the first week in November, starting November 4th and moving forward, kind of towards the end of the season, but that's where we are at right now with that.
Peter, was DPW director present for this?
Yes, yep. Jerry was there Friday morning.
I just want to, excuse me, before I forget, a shout out to the director, Mr. Foskett, and his men for doing a great job on that sewer cover that was on Masonic Home Road.
Yes.
We thought the cover was loose. No, the whole frame was loose. So it had to be dug up, cut out, and then what they did was they positioned it, and I don't know whether, did they have to do any patching on the inside of that cover as far as masonry work?
Yeah, they had to redo all the brickwork.
We did all the brickwork.
Yeah, the bricks were loose and
Bricks were loose,
falling
right,
in, so
right.
they took out all the bricks down to the structure and redid
Yeah, which
three courses of brick,
Yeah,
reset the cover.
great
and
job.
then backfilled it and paved around it.
Yeah, and like I said, a shout out to them, and thank you very much, and also the work they did down at the treatment plant.
So
Putting that-
they did some paving work for us at the driveway. Zach was looking at having some sidewalk repair done, some cement work that needs to be repaired. And they looked at some of the cement work that Zach was getting quotes for. And Jerry said he could possibly help us out with that, maybe this week. So Zach had some quotes that were pretty high, so Jerry might be able to save us some money there as well.
Again, very good.
So once that's done, I'll definitely put everything together, kind of show you what they did for us, but they're definitely helping us out.
Yep. Working together, very nice.
So up in the Berry Corner Road area, Ludlow has also begun making the physical water connections inside the homes. There's one plumber working for Ludlow. He's averaging 3 homes a day with the physical connections, installing the meters. So I think last week they got about 15 homes actually connected to the water line and water flowing. So might take a few months, but those connections are being made and moving forward. So as long as we can get the road paved this fall, we should be pretty much closed out there. The only thing hanging over us next construction season will be the decommissioning of the wells. And that'll all be on private property, so, again, definitely need to thank the residents up there for their patience in getting through all this construction and I guess change of direction and hassle with all of that road work that's been done, so. They've been very accommodating. Luckily, we haven't received too many phone calls about what's been going on, so.
Peter, do we have a written policy from our water supplier exactly when, or excuse me, not when, but under what circumstances are blow-offs going to be required?
No.
Okay, so they're not going to, what I was I guess what I'm looking for is yes, on the second week of each month, Southbridge will do a test at a certain location, and if the residual is below 1.0, then that means they got to run the water to get that residual back up.
So I think once all these extensions are done, Southbridge, or Whitewater, has to go in front of Mass DEP and reconfigure where all of our samples are going to be taken, because the end of the line is going to be at much different spots. And once they meet with Mass DEP, they'll, again, probably say the end of H Foot Road, maybe the end of Berry Corner Road, and then down by the schools. They'll figure out where the lowest turnover rate's going to be, and that will change where their chlorine residual test will be taken, or disinfection byproduct samples will be taken. And as far as the level of when they'll operate the blow-off, that is not set by DEP. That'll be set by the operator to what they want to see for that residual level. So right now, I believe is once that chlorine residual gets below 1, they open the blow-off to kind of keep it there.
I know, I was in a meeting when Muriel Stone recited the actual CMR, and it's, as far as the state is concerned, it's 0.2.
Correct.
So at 0.2 is when, all right, fine. And the problem with the 1.0 is you're throwing away good water if it's 0.98. And it's, no, we gotta run it because it's below. And it's, and all I'm fighting for is because that particular blow-off, I believe that's paid by the town of Southbridge.
Which one?
The one up on
H
Berry-
Foot?
H Foot Berry Corner.
Sure.
We're not responsible for that.
No,
No, no. Okay.
no, I don't believe so.
And just a reminder is we were, first of all, it's not, before I get to the reminder, Peter, do we have any idea financially where the Berry Corner project is landing as far as the total cost?
I believe it's under budget. As far
It's
as
under
how far,
budget,
I don't
okay.
know. But I believe
Okay.
it's under budget.
Okay, and, you know, and I know that we, the town of Charlton's water fund that's been identified by the state as a dollar amount that was coming to us in bond amount was tapped for $1 million. I would just want to make sure and make the point in front of everybody is that if it's under budget, that's the first one, I believe, that should be replenished. Versus, because I think Casella's in for, what, $4 million, and the town of Southbridge is in for 5.
I believe so.
Yeah, 4, 5, and 1 is 10. Okay. Again, just trying.
Pretty close to that, yeah. If not that, then something pretty
Okay,
close to
all
that.
right, all right. Just want to make sure that's on the record.
Okay.
Thank you.
So moving on to the school loop, Albany says a crew installing water main up at the overlook. Pretty much have all of the main installed in their driveway up to the tank. Now they're working down from where the new pump station will go and working out to the driveway so that that infrastructure will be in place. I believe they're also going to try and pour the pad for the generator this construction season, so if the generator does come this winter, they'll be able to just set it, make the connections, and get it going. They have another crew installing laterals on Old Worcester Road and Hammerock Road. And the third crew is they installed the large culvert on Old Worcester Road, which pretty much was completed today. The water line was connected over the culvert, and they should be paving that tomorrow. And that third crew will be moving on to the smaller culvert a little further down Old Worcester Road. Starting that tomorrow, that water line runs under the culvert, so they'll run that water line first. The head walls for that culvert should be delivered on Wednesday, so hopefully they'll install the head walls and the culvert, get that installed by the end of this week, depending on weather, and hopefully have Old Worcester Road open back up again. So,
If I may, the good news is they've done a great job down there. The bad news is it's taken a little bit longer than they anticipated, because the road is still closed. And there's a possibility the road may be open this Friday, because they're planning on, I had visited there earlier today, Peter, and talked with Gary. They're planning on asphalting on Wednesday, I think. Or is that or maybe even tomorrow.
they're going to asphalt tomorrow.
Tomorrow,
The large culvert,
yeah. The curb, it's not the curb. The
guardrails are
The
coming Wednesday.
guardrails are supposed to come in on Wednesday.
Yep.
All right, which then you definitely need guardrails there, but again, they did, a very, very nice job there. And the concrete cross-drain, what's it, is it 24, 30 inch that they're putting in, just on
The
the,
smaller one,
yeah,
I believe it'll be like a 30 or 36 inch oval.
okay, all right, but they're starting that immediately.
Well, again, they're going to start digging the water line. Once they get the large culvert paved, so
Right.
traffic can go that way, they'll go
Right.
start digging up the other culvert.
Right, and you're only
and run the
talking,
water line.
what's it, 300 feet, the differential between the two, 400 feet?
Well, maybe a little bit further.
Yeah.
I think it affects like 3 or 4 homes who
Right.
are right in the middle of
They're
there.
caught in the middle.
Where they'll have to go
Right,
the other direction.
Right, right.
Once this
right.
is changed.
So,
So they're the Kleinfelder and Albany is communicating with those residents to let them know what's going to take place.
and the neighbors over there have been very patient, unlike myself, but they've been very patient.
Again, I think on both projects, the residents in the affected area have been definitely super patient with everything that's been taking place over the last summer construction season. So. Moving on to the Route 169 pump station. The pump station has been operating well. All of the issues are resolved except for the generator. A new engine was installed in the generator today, ran for, I think, 4 hours with no problems at 50% load test. So in order for it to be acceptable, it has to do a full bank load test for 4 hours, and they're going to do that tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock. So once that is done, it should be certified operational completely and be able to take it over and no problems. and the Buffinville Public Water Supply. I recorded the approved A&R plan by the planning board, and a draft deed has been prepared. And then our next step is to hold a public hearing at one of our next meetings for the purchase of the property to satisfy DEP requirements, because we're purchasing the property for a public water supply, possible public water supply well. So I'm trying to reach out to DEP now and find out the exact language for that public hearing, so we can either have it at our October 21st meeting, depending on the advertising, or our first meeting in November. Other than that, we should be good. Any questions?
Questions? Number 7, old bid business, unknown at the time of posting. Anybody have any? Okay. Next meeting is October
21st.
21st, 2019.
Because it was a town meeting, we're gonna meet before the town meeting.
Town meeting is moved till the 16th, Wednesday,
Oh,
October 16th.
well, okay, I didn't know that.
It's gonna start tomorrow, and they're gonna continue it to the 16th.
It's a Jewish holiday.
Oh,
It starts
yeah.
Tomorrow at
tomorrow at
sundown.
sundown. But it's sundown Israel time? It's 7 hours.
I'll make the motion, we adjourn.
I'll second it.
Okay, any discussion on that?
I'm in favor.
Hearing none, all those in favor?
All right.
Unanimous. Thank you, everybody.